Rumor is, Luffy should never, ever be entrusted with money. You get your hands off that briefcase, you walking disaster!
Boo-ba-doo-ba-doo-boo. Boo. 3.5, not a real season. 3.5, but still king of the what? Now 3.5. Gonna watch some pirates. 3.5 before season 4.
Start the show! Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line, and welcome to episode 70 of King of the What Now. We're a podcast that discusses One Piece, the anime, from the very beginning. I'm your host, Joel, longtime fan of the series. I love me some One Piece. Also, I'm a gambling man who's going to escape my debt collectors with rope! Also, this is my pet bunny. Say hello, pet bunny.
That's clearly a turtle, Joel.
What? No, I asked him. He thinks that he's a bunny, trust me. And then we also have with us...
I'm the co-host. I'm Curtis. I am a casual One Piece fan. And I am a man with a long nose who looks cool jumping off of buildings. Also, I'm definitely not this Usopp fellow. I don't know why you keep calling me that.
Hello. I missed you all so much. I am Kat. I'm the ghost of the show. And I had a really cool intro, but due to poor sound quality, it got deleted.
Wah, wah, wah. Alright, folks, so here's the story. We were going to do Episode 70 was originally going to be One Piece Movie 6, Bar in Omatsuri, and The Secret Island. We recorded that about a week ago. We really had some good conversations there. TLDR, we liked it pretty good. But then when it came time to process the episode and edit it and put it all together, and by the time it made it into MP3 form, we started getting worried about the sound quality. We were hoping that maybe after we processed it, it would sound better. It really didn't. We just sounded kind of robot-y and stuff, and it was bad. We did not want to give you an inferior product. So we have now scrapped that episode, which means that you don't get to hear our very long discussion of the movie. We'll do a short discussion here really quick. And it also means that today's ad segment will not be as impromptu as some of our other ad segments, because we're going to do it again because I was so proud of the concept there. But we're also going to be covering 4 episodes of the anime, 229, 230, 231, 232. Those are the first 4 episodes of the Water 7 saga.
And hey, you slip me 30,000 berry under the table, and maybe I'll let you listen to the original episode 70, maybe.
I do truly believe that we will be posting it to the Patreon, not as a true episode. We won't try to continue any inside jokes that originated there, but if people care, yeah, sure, we'll put it up there along with the bloopers. The whole episode's a blooper now.
That's a great attitude.
Bloop. It's either that or throw myself into the Grand Line.
No.
Oh. I mean, that's what the Straw Hats did, and it turned out okay for them.
You just gotta go with your gut feeling, right?
Didn't you hear, Joel? All the cool kids are throwing themselves into Area 51 these days, apparently.
All right. I'm sure that was a great reference. That's... Why, though? Do they want to make friends with the aliens?
I don't know. Last night, Area 51 wasn't a thing, and this morning I woke up and everybody's talking about going to Area 51 so that the government will take care of their problems. I don't know why. It's just there now.
They had a idea that they were going to swarm Area 51 covertly, get past the security and see what's actually there. But then they publicized it, so it's no longer covert, and they know about it now. So yeah.
Unless that's all a fake out. Unless they want them to know that they're coming, so that the government will assume that they won't come anymore. So the government will actually decrease their perimeter.
This is getting way too deep for me, you guys. We had some...
That's right, a series that is near and dear to my heart, and which Curtis was forced into enjoying alongside me, has been announced to have a long-awaited sequel. For the longest time, everyone thought that Pirate Warriors 3 was going to be the final chapter in the Pirate Warrior saga. I literally, after 3 came out, I went online and I looked up, will there ever be a 4? And at the time, they were saying, no, we definitely have no plans of doing a Part 4. But guess what? Part 4 is on the way! Pirate Warriors 4 2020. We'll be covering it probably in, 2022.
Okay, here's a question.
Yep.
Here's an answer.
We played Pirate Warriors 3, right?
Correct.
And it started all the way at the beginning.
Yep.
Does each game start at the beginning again and
I
just go a
believe
little bit
so.
further?
Yes.
So it was like the first Pirate Warriors, it was like you played it for 10 minutes, it's like, oh, I guess that's it.
You met Zoro, and then it went to be continued. And you're like, oh man.
And then you get the second one, you're like, okay, I gotta see what happens after Zoro. And then it puts you back in a barrel again. You're like, what the hell? I just did this already.
Yeah, the one thing that is kind of interesting about the Pirate Warriors 3, I never played 1 or 2, so anything about like, oh, how far did they get? What was the quality like? What systems were it on? I know none of that. But it's interesting because 3 came out when they were in the middle of an arc. It does, the name doesn't spoil anything, but so they were in the middle of the Dressrosa arc in the manga. And then they came out with the game and they put Dressrosa in the game, but they only knew the basic setup. They only knew, like Arlong Park, they knew Arlong was a fisherman, but they didn't actually see how the battle played out. So they just kind of like guessed and made up some stuff. So I'm hoping that when 4 comes out, I'm hoping that it's not in the middle of an arc. I'm hoping that they just get to the last finished one and have that be the wrap up.
What if Pirate Warriors 4 comes out and it takes the false ending for that arc
And it
and
turns
continues
into a whole...
it? So it's just like an alternate timeline now.
Yes, this is the timeline where Chopper loft his leg. He lofted it way up in there. He's lost his leg. Kureha is back from the dead. She's not dead, but she's now the leader of an evil zombie army. Has science gone too far? Dr. Kureha doesn't think so. So let me ask you two. Catherine, you watched us play, and you were a huge fan of One Piece, so I was able to geek out about like, oh my god, this level has a secret interaction between Sanji and Vivi. And, Curtis, you played a lot of it. I can't remember how far we got before the game broke, but definitely farther than we are in the anime right now. How does this news sit with you guys?
I'm pretty excited. I enjoyed some of the sillier pieces of Pirate Warriors 3. Those sorts of games aren't really my thing. I wasn't super into like Hyrule Warriors either, but I enjoyed getting to watch like Doffy do stupid poses and have his attack dialogue.
Oh my god, and the combo attacks you could do in 3 where you'd have Luffy and Sanji both attack at the same time and it would show the little animation. Like, there were a lot of really interesting things that they did in there. Sanji's character only did like 1/10 or 1/20th damage against any female characters that he was fighting, and any Logias had a defense buff against all of their opponents. It was pretty well done in terms of incorporating the wackiness of the One Piece universe into their gameplay.
Yeah, I did like that a lot. Curtis, did you have anything you particularly liked about it?
I mean, I don't know. It was a pretty good hack and slash game. Lots of button mashing.
As someone who has played both Pirate Warriors and Hyrule Warriors, I can say that those games are all about the power fantasy, and a shonen series is the perfect place to have a power fantasy where you can just plow through 50 goons.
Mm-hmm. It is definitely like a good way to casually kind of figure out what's going on in One Piece, as opposed to, just watching everything.
Absolutely.
Though it's not obviously 100%.
Yeah, I got
same.
really excited when I found out about Pirate Warriors 3, and I was like, Curtis, we should play together. This is before we were doing the podcast. This is before I even realized that podcasts were, like, a thing. And we started playing. I'm like, oh, you're finally going to know all of the story beats. But then we would get to Sky Island, and you wouldn't even get Aiza as a character. And, in the grand scheme of things, Aiza wouldn't be an interesting fighter. But at the same time, if you're trying to get someone mostly caught up, that's kind of an interesting thing. And the fact that she can hear these voices, the mantra ability, that's coming back eventually. And so, the video game is a pretty interesting way of getting caught up with some of the scenes, but I wouldn't recommend it the same way that I thought I was going to want to recommend it when it first came out.
Yeah. The other small piece of One Piece news that I'm excited about is we are less than a month away from One Piece Stampede, which is the next movie. And I'm just very excited to see that movie.
Is there going to be a stampede to the theater?
Yes. There's a Grand Pirate Festival, so I assume... Well, you said to the theater, like the fans are... I get you, okay.
Aha, I'm not the only one who's saying stupid things today.
But yeah, that has been your One Piece news.
Yes.
Back to you, Curtis.
That was like...
Mortal Kombat!
Wait, are we just singing opening Sweet Like now?
No, it's supposed to be a newsy thing.
My little pirates, my little pirates. I used to wonder what friendship could be.
Joel.
Check out our bonus episode on Equestria Girls because it's basically the same thing as a shonen anime. Yes.
We're recording an episode now.
We are recording an episode. So why don't I, as a captain, delegate the most important duty to you, my first mate. Give us that succinct summary.
Oh, I thought I was going to get to fire the cannons.
No. We have yet to go to war with the Piece Together people, but when we do, you will be the one to fire the cannons, buddy, I promise.
Yes.
And remember, we're summarizing both the movie and the episodes.
Yes, so I'm going to do the movie now, and then we can
let's just do the
discuss
movie.
the movie,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and then we'll get into the episodes, I think.
Yes.
Okay. So, the Straw Hats receive an invitation to an island to prove that they are the pirates among pirates. Luffy, looking for a competition and still not satiated by the Davy Back fight, takes his crew there. They compete in several competitions: a fish catch, a race,
The Hunger Games.
the Hunger Games, a cooking competition, a dance-off, a fashion modeling thing. No, some of those are
You're
fake.
making some of these up.
Yeah. The opponents are mysterious and increasingly suspicious.
Hang on, really quick. Imagine Robin as the Simon Cowell judge for American Idol.
Yeah.
That was the worst possible performance ever. And Chopper's the upbeat one who's like, I really like it, dog. You're doing great. Keep it up.
Mean Robin would be good. So the opponents are mysterious and increasingly suspicious. They have leaves coming out of their heads. They randomly shrivel up and die. They're impervious to swords. Normal villain things. The Straw Hats start to disappear one by one. Luffy is the last one standing and discovers they have been devoured by the giant plant growing out of the island. It is somehow connected to the flower on Omatsuri's shoulder, which is controlling him. Luffy faces a future without his crew and refuses to accept it. With the help of some survivors of past crews on the island, he defeats the flower controlling Omatsuri and releases his friends before they've been completely absorbed by the flower. The Straw Hats are reunited. They've won the the challenges of Omatsuri.
And that has been Curtis's first
Succinct summary. I was confused for a second. He said first. I was like, Joel, we've been doing this segment for a little while now. I was like, oh, you mean up this episode?
First of the evening.
God.
Things might get even more interesting later.
So can I just say that I loved this movie?
Yes, you may say that.
Okay, I loved this movie. I knew that it wasn't canon, so watching it, I really thought for like a brief moment that it was just going to end in a total failure and all the Straw Hats were going to die. And then I thought about it and I went, well, this is a shonen movie, so probably not. But like, it had me, man.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of agree with that in that it's definitely a departure from most of the One Piece movies, and I think that's what makes it so memorable. I could not really tell you the distinctive beats of the Great Pirate Ganzak or the first One Piece movie or Into the Ocean's Navel or the second One Piece movie. They all kind of blend together because bad guys show up, they're kind of goofy and slightly imposing. The crew gets split up, they defeat the lieutenants, Luffy beats the main bad guy. It's very cookie cutter. This movie was a departure. They took some risks. They did a different art style, which really helped out. And the CGI at the beginning of the movie with the giant goldfish and some of the other competitions worked really well. And it's going to stick with me because it is so different tonally from the other movies.
Mm-hmm. And something I liked about it is it's so like, in the series, normally Luffy is kind of, he takes a lot of risks. He doesn't really think things through, but then things work out in the end, right? And while sometimes he does face like temporary consequences, they feel real-ish, but not like really real, right? Because I don't know, just like the way the tone of the show. And
they're sort of like obstacles in the moment, but they're not long-term obstacles, and they're not an indication of other challenges he'll have to face.
But like Kat said, this movie is like, it does a good job at making you think, oh my god, they actually killed off all the Straw Hat crew. And you believe it for a bit. And it's the first time you've ever seen like Luffy have to face like true consequences for him getting his crew into a dangerous situation without really, batting an eye at it. And I thought that was really interesting because it's not something we get in the show normally, and it feels like a departure from normal shonen stuff. So I liked it for that reason. I did have a hard time understanding the motivation of the villain,
Yes.
and part of that was because I had a bad translation version of it. You guys found a better one. I think you said that you still weren't 100% sure exactly what his motivation was, so maybe it's just kind of like, it's fuzzy on purpose, but...
Nah, his motivation was that all of his crew died, and so he didn't want anyone else to have... Well, he didn't want anyone else to have Nakama because he was feeding their Nakama to the plant to keep his weird clone plant Nakama alive.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. I see both points. I do agree that there is quite a bit of thematic cohesion. It's all about the friendship, and it's all about not giving up on friends, and it's all about trust and that sort of thing. I do kind of not... I am having a hard time understanding why him losing would cause him to want to kill everyone else, and it's never explicitly stated that he has to feed the plant. That's my headcanon, and, it's a Little Shop of Horrors kind of parallel or situation sort of thing. At the same time, I just wanted one more line. Like, if there was a line that was just him and the flower... and the flower's like, just 2 more souls and you'll be back with them. Like, just something like that, I'd be able to say, like, oh, that's why he's doing it. But he does this weird, like, come to my place and have a party, but also I'm going to kill your friends, possibly for no reason.
Yeah, it wasn't super clear, I guess. What did you guys think of having a flower as the villain?
I think that's interesting. I think that there's something to say. There's a complete different story to be told of man versus another man, and man as in human, not, 2 men enter. But when you have 2 human characters facing each other, that's a completely different story than a human character fighting a force of nature, running away from the wolves or the bears or the nuclear explosion or whatever. I guess that's not really nature. You know what I mean, though. So the flower and it being this kind of supernatural being, it's different than if Baron Omatsuri was their opponent in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. We've mentioned that, I think we mentioned it, the movie took a really sharp turn into horror. It was kind of cutesy and silly at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it's like everyone's dead and being eaten alive, and that's horrifying. And I feel like the flower being really adorable at the beginning, but then being like this horrifying eldritch tube by the end was also a good part of that tonal shift.
Yeah, and I've always maintained that plants, if you think about plants to some degree, are kind of creepy. So, like, there are a lot of good horrors.
Are you siding with the zombies?
No, yes. No, they're just like a lot of good horrors where it's like they're just like fungus growing over everything and like take over. Like, I mean, it's like almost like a subset of zombie stuff, right? Or like it's just I don't know. They grow off of everything. They like reanimate dead corpses. It's just like, I don't know. Plants are creepy in a different way, like a completely different form of life. It's just
plants and birds.
Yeah, very alien.
I will say, if you want to give us a little bit of money and you want to have access to the original episode 70, go for it. But one thing that I do think that is important to repeat from that is I wish that there had been a little bit more of an indication that this was going to go into horror. I think the fact that it so sharply turned was jarring, and that was effective. But if you've ever read Pet Sematary or Needful Things by Stephen King, I don't read a lot of horror, but I've read those two. They both pretty clearly in the first, chapter say something really spooky is going to happen. And then after it's explicitly told you, it goes to John was living his normal life, and then he stubbed his toe. It hurt, so he put a Band-Aid on it, and then the Band-Aid went missing, and then the cat was alive and evil. You can still have that jarring, but so long as you tell people at the very beginning, hey, this is going to take a really weird turn. Maybe showing Omatsuri killing off the last crew that came to the island before transitioning to Luffy would be a good way of saying, it's not going to start there, but it will get there by the end.
I think it just depends on the objective of the people making the movie, right? Because like you said, it's effective having it be a surprise. I don't know. It's just like, it depends on how you want to approach it.
Absolutely. Anyone, Catherine, Curtis, do you have any major points that you wish that are listed?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I really liked this movie. I feel like it stood apart from previous One Piece movies because it wasn't the same. We meet a man, the man hates pirates, Luffy fights the man. Like, it was its own distinct story. And so it was much more fun to watch than the typical One Piece movie formula.
Mm-hmm. And I think there was one point that Kat made in the original recording about colors in this movie.
Oh, yes.
So I don't know if you want to talk about that again.
Professor Kat, give us your lesson about color theory.
Okay, it wasn't a very exciting point, but basically when Luffy thinks that his friends are all dead, all of the color kind of goes out of him and he's very gray. And then when his newfound friends, Daddy or Papa, I think.
Papa and Brief are the two adults.
Thank you. I remembered Brief because he reminded me of Dragon Ball Z. But Papa and Brief are like, no, your friends are still alive. We can hear them. That was actually the little girl, but it doesn't matter. But anyway, they can hear his friends are still alive, and the color comes back into him, and he gets up and he's ready to fight. And then there was also a scene that uses one of my favorite tropes where he punches Baron Omatsuri, and it goes black and white. And I like to say, he punched him back into the manga. You only get that for very serious punches.
Absolutely, yeah. It's when they start trying to mess with the actual rules of the animation that you know that they're trying to draw a special attention to that moment. Mm-hmm. I would say if you're listening to this and you haven't seen the movie and you haven't already seen the clips and say AMVs on YouTube or something, definitely try and find this. Try to find the Kaizoku fan subs, not the ones that Curtis watched, because they had a guy who wanted to do evil to Luffy's crew. Like, literally, that's what it said. But watch this movie just for that first fight with the goldfish catching. I liked the way that the team all worked together and such. And then also watch it for that final scene when Luffy's fighting the guy. Brief is hilarious with his little mustache call sign. Daddy and his daughter, was she Lily? No, Lily was the flower. She was Daisy, I think.
Daisy and Rosa, and then the boy had some random name that doesn't matter.
Michelangelo, Bob. But no, that scene was very good with the children wanting to believe in Papa's strength and Papa being a bit of a coward, but then overcoming that. It was like a very abbreviated version of Usopp's story. And that scene when Luffy is ready to throw down and it's round 2 and he's walking and the arrows are coming towards him and he just kind of casually sidesteps the arrows. Like, these things are moving super fast, and to Luffy, they're basically moving in slow motion because it's go time. That's the future King of the Pirates that I want to see in my anime movies.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Perfect. That has been your final. Oh, wait, we have to talk about 4 episodes of the anime. Curtis, tell us about it.
Okay, give me a second.
And if you forget about the most important character, I will beat you.
1 sentence per episode, or he'll bite you too.
Nah, I probably will. We need to get stricter with that. Folks, before we recorded, we sat down and we started talking about these episodes, and I mentioned a particular character, and again, it's on Curtis to include them or not include them in the summary. But when he was like, who's that? I was like, come on, Curtis, it's the character. You know what I'm talking about. And he's like, I have no idea. So apparently Curtis entered a fugue state from pure awesomeness.
So here is your second succinct summary.
Ever?
Yes. Okay. Oh, sorry. The Straw Hats learn about the wonders of the water train. Rather than riding it, they head to Water 7 via the traditional ship-log pose combo. The train station attendant assures them that they can find a shipwright there. When they arrive, they find a magnificent city covering the entire island with a giant fountain on the top. The city spreads off the coast and is permeated with a network of canals. Luffy, Nami, and Usopp set off to cash in their gold and to find a shipwright to repair the Going Merry. They find the aftermath of a group of shipwrights who have beat up pirates unwilling to pay for services rendered. It seems the shipwrights here are tough. Robin and Chopper look for a bookstore, but a stranger walks by Robin and whispers, CP9. After hearing this, Robin disappears. Zoro, alone on the ship after Sanji leaves to buy foodstuffs, naps until the ship is swarmed by a group of armed men. Meanwhile, Luffy, Nami, and Usopp cash in their gold for 300 million berries. They head to the shipyard to get their ship fixed. The craftsman Kaku runs down to assess the damage and wakes Zoro, who has been napping after having fended off the group of bounty hunters, the Frankie family. Unfortunately, the Frankie family isn't gone. They find Luffy, Nami, and Usopp and steal the money. Sanji, still out buying food, gets lost in the city and sees Robin, but then she disappears. Luffy, Nami, and Usopp retrieve their money with the help of a man and his pigeon that talks.
I believe you mean a pigeon and his human carrier.
Sure, yes, that. They inspect Dock 1, during which time Usopp is abducted by the Frankie family. Meanwhile, Chopper is looking for Robin but finds Sanji instead, and Kaku finishes inspection of the Going Merry. The damage is too extensive. There's nothing they can do. The Going Merry will never sail again. And that has been your succinct summary.
Your very somber, succinct summary. Technically speaking, he didn't say that it wouldn't sail again. His exact words were, the chance of reaching the next island are 0%. Mm-hmm. So they could get, halfway, maybe.
It could sail
and then they could
again.
paddle the rest of the way.
It could sail again, and it can sink.
What if? So they were all really sad, right? Because that's their ship, and they wanted to keep going with them. But what if they just took, the goat head off of the Mary, and they put that on a new ship?
What if they broke the ship apart, and then used the timber to make their own armor, and therefore they will always each have a piece of the Mary to accompany them wherever they go?
Yeah, or they used the wood that was still good to build a new ship. If every cell in your body is steadily replaced, are you still the same person in a year?
I was thinking the same thing, but I feel like what would happen is they'd take everything off and they'd replace everything, which just means building a new ship. I think it was basically there was nothing good.
Yeah, well, was it the keel, babe, that was bad? The bottom of the boat.
My memory is very fuzzy. I think it might be the keel, but there's something else. I know that they specifically give an explanation about how it's the backbone of the ship, and if that's broken, you are just SOL, and that's the diagnosis.
That's the keel.
It is the keel.
Right.
They call out the keel because it's the vital part, but I think the implication is that the whole thing is damaged. It's just that the keel is also damaged, and therefore there's no point in there's no point in trying to save it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you could use the boards around the keel, some of them probably. But no, what did you think of that reveal, Curtis?
Yeah, Mr. Casual.
And I mean, it's sad. It's too bad they couldn't fix it, but also they're very rough on their ship.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that when they were given the Going Merry all those 200 episodes ago, there was not the anticipation that they were going to be falling from the sky in it.
Absolutely true. They got attacked by those giant, man-sized pillar spike things after Alabasta. Luffy had to, put himself between the ship and the reverse mountain when they were going up. The mast broke off when they hit... Wait, is that the mast or the figurehead? The figurehead broke off when they ran into Laboon. That ship has seen some war, and it's not like you can feed the Mary, meat, and it could recover like Luffy would, or give it booze and it would walk it off like Zoro can. It's a ship.
So here's a question.
Uh-huh.
Let's run on the assumption they're going to replace the Going Merry with the new ship.
Yeah.
And that they're not going to name it the Going Merry or the Going Merry Mark II.
The Going Merry, but the E has been replaced with the 2. Going Materi.
Yeah. So here's a question that I'm going to ask, and you guys won't be able to answer, so I'm going to have to answer it myself because you already know the answer.
It's a rhetorical question.
What will they name it? The new ship. And here's what I think. So right now they have the Going Merry. The next one's going to be something along the lines of the Going Extreme, or
the Slowing Sadly.
no, I'm just thinking it's good. They have to amp it up even more, right? Because they're not going to go backwards; they're going to go forwards. They're going to look to the future, unless it'll be the Slowing Sadly if it's a submarine.
Oh,
because now they're going down.
See, I was just thinking they'd be so distraught about the death of the Mary, they wouldn't want to name it anything similar. So they go the exact opposite direction.
What if they just don't name it? They just say, it's the ship. Get back to the ship. And people ask, what's your ship called? And they're just like, it's the ship.
It doesn't have a gender. It doesn't have a name.
No good pirate king would have a ship without a name. I like yours, though. The the traveling joyfully.
The bing bong dingaling a ding dong, hoo bong jingling a bing bong ding dong boom. It's a mouthful. That's actually, Oda did that on purpose because he knew that they needed more filler. So anytime that they need to fill out an episode, they just have someone go, "Did you make it back to the bing bong ding-a-ling a ding dong ding a ding a ding dong?" And then they get cut off halfway through and they go, "Damn it, now I have to start over from the beginning." It's the bing bong ding a ding a ding.
Babe, can I have a sound clip of just you saying that?
Yeah, I will definitely add that to the soundboard and whatever.
They just keep adding words to it, and then the next ship they add more words to it, and then more, and then more.
So here's a question for you. It seems like you are taking the stance that the ship truly 100% will not sail again or won't make it to the next island. They'll need a new ship. There's no reason for us to believe that Kaku is lying, and we are told that the Water 7 people are very good with ships, and so it's hard to imagine a scenario in which... Also, they can't leave this island to look for other shipwrights if Mary can't sail, so they have to... so it seems very unlikely that they'll fix it. For the sake of speculation, I'm going to speak in hypotheticals, right? Hypothetically, if I rob that store. Hypothetically, if they have to replace the Going Merry and they get another ship, do you think that they will have more ships throughout the series? How many do you think in the course of a 900-chapter manga series?
Well, the arcs keep getting longer.
Yes.
So I would say maybe one more on top of this. Just
Okay.
knowing, because the first one lasted us 200 episodes. Mm-hmm. Or like 7 arcs?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Something like that. 2 major sagas is how I'd prefer to kind of look at it.
Yeah, okay, so 2 major sagas, right? And I don't know how many sagas there are total in these 900 episodes. So let's say
Also, we're not done. There's debate right now as to whether or not the current manga arc is the second to last one, or is it the 19th to last one? It could be either.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was the halfway point, honestly.
Okay, that's an interesting discussion that we can't have on the pod.
Okay.
I maybe 1 or 2. Because I think the rate at which they change ships will have to slow down. Also, if they get a shipwright, they might take better care of the ship, and it might last longer. So actually, if they have a really good shipwright, they just might not get a new ship. They might do better job at repairing it so it doesn't, and reinforcing it so it doesn't get that structural damage in the first place.
Of the Water 7 shipwrights you've met, which do you think is most likely to be willing to travel with the One Piece crew? Or which would you want to travel with the One Piece crew?
I'm going to answer the second question, because I think the answer to the first question is, I don't know, the first one I don't know enough about him to know who would be willing to go. I would like Kaku to go. Kaku seems pretty cool.
I like that he talks like a 75-year-old man.
Mm-hmm. He does. Chris, did you watch subbed or dubbed for these ones? Subbed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Catherine had the pleasure of watching them dubbed. You and I can, we know some Japanese words, but not enough. But when they translated it to English, Catherine, would you say that he said?
Oh, hold on. I was trying to look for it because I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it's something
there
like...
it is. He said, "Darn Skippy." And he kept calling them youngsters.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. And because I remember they make a comment in there about how he's only 25 or 24 or something.
Yeah, they
like
ask
that.
him how old he is. He's like, "I'm 26 or something." And they're like, "You talk like an old fart."
Yeah. And I guess that just didn't come through in the subtitles as much.
That's kind of what I'm saying. If we could speak Japanese, there's something in the way he's saying it that we would understand it. Or the actual dub translated it pretty well. But the subs were basically just hello instead of, whatever he said.
Yeah.
So
it must have been some old vernacular that's not used anymore.
Yeah. They only use this form of the verb in a prefecture that's full of, 80-year-old men and women. The only people who know this are your grandparents.
I think the most likely member of Galila to join them is Polly, because it would give him a way to run away from his debt.
Oh, no, that makes sense.
Polly is very likable. We here at King of the What Now, we don't do the character tracker like our rivals over at Piece Together. But just really quickly, if you need a refresher, you got, I think 7? Let me double check my notes here. Yes, 7 new characters associated with the Galley Law Shipwright Company. Rob Lucci, he's, I think, the first one that we meet. He's got a beard, and he's a pretty muscular guy. He's the one being controlled by the pigeon. Kaku is the one who looks like Usopp, who, runs around and jumps really far, and he has the square long nose and talks like an old guy. Polly is a cool guy who's always smoking a cigar, and he apparently has a thing against women dressing in ways that he doesn't approve of. He's the morality police. Great for you, Polly. There's a guy named Lulu. He has, that's I think his last name, but they don't call him by his first name. He didn't really do much in these episodes, but he was the one who had the giant tree in his hand, and when he turned, it hit the guy in the back of the head.
He has a nice mustache.
He has a mustache. The other thing is he has a what show was that? The Little Rascals, how one of the kids always had that hair sticking out.
Oh, an alfalfa hair.
An alfalfa. Yeah, that's what Lulu's gag is. He has this long piece of hair. There's also a guy named Tilliston who literally had no speaking lines and is only mentioned because everyone's like, ooh, look at how handsome he is. He's a big guy. He's the whitest and he's the tallest of them.
Okay.
And he's got a chest tattoo, so,
Yeah, probably connection to the Yakuza. Stay away from him. Iceberg is the mayor, who's the president or whatever, and his little pet mouse, Tyrannosaurus. And Califa, the secretary, who attacks with kicks and is very... very attached to Iceberg. You say something bad about her, she kicks you in the face, and then she kicks her boss in the face. No, it's not that her aim is bad, she just attacks everyone.
There you go. Also, she is watching you. She will point out your sexual harassment if she sees it, even if it's not sexual harassment.
I was very confused by that. I assumed it was a mistranslation at first.
No, so what it is basically she calls every infraction sexual harassment. And there will be, very small spoilers, there will be a scene where someone says, you're looking very good, and she's like, that's sexual harassment. And then they'll be like, nice weather that we're having, and she goes, that's sexual harassment. He goes, even that? So that's just one of her quirks.
Okay.
It's physical, too. I really like this group of characters. I wrote down in my notes that I love them. We've had other groups of people that show up in other arcs. We had the Shandorians, we had Mont Blanc, Cricket, and all of his, the two salvage crew members. You had the Royal Guard in Alabasta, but this one is the one that feels to me the closest to a family. You have them attacking each other over stupid things like, Polly, don't steal their money and then ask for 10% of it back when you give it back. You're an asshole. And Califa telling her, Iceberg, you really have to go to these meetings. Cancel them. Okay, if you say so.
Yeah, no, they seemed like a lively bunch of people, and I liked them.
Mm.
They were instantly colorful in a way that I don't think every other arc has been. Water 7 starts and you're like, wow, this is a world that I could live in. These are people. They have personalities. And Skypiea did not feel that strong to me. That's the first one that came to mind when I was thinking about comparisons.
Well, and this arc is just so interesting because most of the other arcs pretty quickly tell you that something's going on, right? The Baradier, when we met Sanji, was immediately attacked by this scoundrel asshole Don Krieg, and then Mihawk shows up and cuts a frickin' galley ship in half. On Arlong Park, you already know that Nami's betrayed the crew. Almost every arc pretty quickly lets you know what the big bad threat is. And in this one, the threat seems to be the Frankie family who, Zoro took them out really quickly. And so it feels like a more relaxed environment. And so when you meet this group of people who are kind of going to be the secondary characters for this arc, they don't have to respond to the plot. They don't have to be in battle mode because their island's going to get destroyed. They don't have to be in battle mode because someone just stole from them. These are just a bunch of people hanging out, doing their jobs. They're tough. They can take on pirates, and they're enjoying life.
Yep, building ships.
Mm-hmm.
I do also like that the further into the Grand Line you get, the more the regular people are kind of awesome. These guys are shipwrights, and they can just take out pirates. He had a bounty of 22, 30 million somewhere in there, and they just, get out of here. We're so tough and whatever. We don't have to worry about any danger. I want to make a really quick point, and this is actually really funny. Do you, Curtis, remember the name of Bachan, the old lady who gave them the map that was a shitty map?
I do now.
Okay. What was her name?
Bachan.
Okay, so Bachan is the nickname for Grandma. So I'm saying that she is a Bachan, but her name is Kokoro. which is interesting
okay.
because in Japanese, the word kokoro, it can mean like heart. When I was researching it, it looks like it can also mean like kind of like spirit and stuff. It doesn't have one definition, but one translation is heart. And the current opening for Water 7 is called Kokoro no Chizu, which means map of the heart, or heart's map. Mm-hmm. And her name is Kokoro, literally the exact same kanji, same spelling, and she gives them a map. And I don't know, I don't think that's relevant. I don't think that proves that she's secretly the bad guy of the arc, or she's the mastermind, Illuminati confirmed. But her name is Kokoro, and she gives them a map, and the current opening is called Map's Heart. Or Heart's Map.
I know who the big bad is.
Okay.
It's the bunny.
It's the bunny
He's
thing.
a cat, sir. He identifies as a cat.
I'm sorry, it's the cat.
These are the characters that I mentioned earlier that Curtis was like, I don't really remember Chimney and Gonbei and Bachan. And I was like, Curtis, what the hell? They're hilarious characters. He's like, they were on screen for 5 minutes, but I love them so much. The little girl has this verbal tick, I guess you'd call it, where she goes like, nah, nah, which is literally just Japanese for like, hey, pay attention. But she just does it, and she's just so cute.
Is she Navi?
Yes.
Hey, listen.
No, she's every freaking child on the planet under the age of 8 who constantly wants your attention.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyways, Catherine, do you have any thing to say about the drunk old lady and the little girl and Yokozuna, the sumo wrestler frog guy?
God, just that I love them. I will definitely have more to say about Kokoro in many episodes, but I like her. She's a good grandma. I really like the cat, Gonbei.
I believe that it's Gonbei. I didn't actually look it up, and spoiler alert, they don't really call Gonbei by name. He's always with Chimney, and they never really give him an important job. They're not like, okay, boy, go steal the guard's keys or whatever. He's just there for window dressing, basically.
Yeah, okay, so Gonbei, I made a joke about him identifying as a cat, but the wiki literally says he thinks he's a cat but is obviously a rabbit, and that just cracks me up. Like, look in the mirror, Gonbei. Meh.
It's so good. I normally don't like little kid characters. Even the ones that are pretty endearing are usually, they're good, asterisk, for a child. We're going to see more of Chimney. I like her. I like her a lot.
Yeah. I don't remember a lot about Chimney from the last time we watched this, but I don't remember hating her, so there you go.
I have one last final thought that I want to get to, and then a couple of other really small, just short thoughts that I want to run by you guys. But before we can get to that, it's time for us to go to our world-famous ad segment. Life Sharp is a company dedicated to making your life better in every conceivable way. They interact with the food industry, they interact with the health and sciences, they do art, they help people live longer, they help manage their money, they help get you a little bit of romance if that's what you're into. They help you get outside and be your best possible self, or stay inside and write the best possible book you could write, gosh dang it. This episode is brought to you by Food 2.0. Food 2.0 is like the food that you already eat every day, but with added benefits. That's right, when you eat chicken that you have bought online from the Food 2.0 store, you can actually feel that extra protein flowing through your body. You might even start to glow a little bit, and that's an intended feature, my good sir. That is not a bug, that's a feature. You can combine food like alchemy. If you put two pieces, 2 drumsticks on the table and then like a cherry, it'll whoosh, 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 and it turns somehow into a salad. The alchemy is a little weird. It's a little bit beyond human thinking. Perhaps we need thinking 2.0 to comprehend it. But
wait, babe, I'm sorry. If you put 2 drumsticks and a cherry on a table, or if you put 2 drumsticks and a cherry?
That's, I was wondering why my food wasn't properly combining, but I realize now, this is crappy food 1.0. Not that there's anything wrong with the life that you're living now, but if you want to take it up a notch, check out, Life Sharp and all of their various products, especially Food 2.0.
I think the best thing about Food 2.0 is that it comes with achievements.
It's really good. I used to not like my vegetables. They're not my favorite, but the fact that there's an eat 1,000 cabbages achievement, like, okay, I guess I'm just going to go to work and take my cabbage and just start munching on it as I do my work.
Yeah, 1 cabbage a day, and you'll get there in 1,000 days.
Yeah, that's only like a little over 3 years. I have 3 years left in my life, probably, especially now that I'm eating healthier.
And I like how they've gamified food now. And you can learn about all these advantages in that, right?
Yep.
So, like, let's say you have a friend.
Let's say you have a friend. Bold of you to assume.
Maybe not a friend. Let's say you have a family member, a sibling, who's a doctor, and you don't like them. You can give them an apple. And they're weak against apples. Apples are strong against doctors. They keep them away. I'm sorry, apples. Keep doctors away. Normal apples, I mean, meh.
Well, hang on. We need to be clear, okay? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. An apple a day will explode them to next week, okay? That's a form of time travel, and that's incredible.
It's amazing what they've managed to do with their Food 2.0 stuffs.
It's great. You can buy Food 2.0 anywhere that you want. It's backwards compatible, so you can cook, some chicken alongside with some, regular chicken. All the food there is ethically sourced, and it's mass producible without losing any of its flavor, and it doesn't, corrupt the oceans or the rivers or anything. There's no chemical runoffs. I don't know how they do it. Maybe they have magic somewhere in there.
It is amazing that you really can buy it anywhere that you want. Like I walked into a dentist office and I was like, I'd like to buy some 2.0, please. And they're like, yeah, of course. You can buy it anywhere you want.
They went up to the wall and they did the Fonzie, like, bang, bang. And then, like, a panel flipped out. And you're like, oh, man, a sandwich. That's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep. And then there's an element of discovery here, I would say that I'm a little bit more introverted. I know, some of us here have moms who are very extroverted and, like, they go to parties all the time. If you love parties and you take your Food 2.0, the food will adapt and will give you extra energy. But if you are, a student and you're trying to focus on your homework, the food will help you focus a little bit better. Your focus will sharpen. If you've got a wedding coming up and you just can't nail that, that 1, 2, 3, 6 step, you can have the food and it will give you a confident swagger that you can then take to the dance floor. Remember, if you want to improve your life, start with Life Sharp.
Sharp?
Perfect. Okay, anyone have like a really quick, scene that they want to talk about? Anything really short, to the point?
I really liked that every single person kept mistaking Kaku for Usopp. Like, he passed by Sanji, and Sanji went, Usopp? And he passed by Zoro, and Zoro went, Usopp? And then he woke up and went, wait, you're not Usopp. Like, nobody was immune to the Usopp spell except for Nami, I think.
Well, and like Sanji and Zoro was half asleep, and Sanji was only like seeing him from a distance as he was flying through the air. But Luffy's was my favorite because he was literally standing next to Usopp. And he's like, is that you, Usopp? I'm right here, idiot.
Do you think it would have been funnier for Usopp to have been like, am I looking in a mirror? And then do the mirroring bit? Or do you think it's funnier to have Usopp go, that's not me, shut up?
I think the second one's more likely. The first one would be funnier.
The first one has been played out, is the thing. I sort of, but I think that they're both pretty funny. I'm happy with the direction that we got with this.
Yeah, Curtis, did you have any quick moments you wanted to touch on?
The CP9 thing? I'm curious to see where that goes.
No, that's the final thought, buddy. That's a big picture question.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. God.
I liked, speaking of, Luffy going, Usopp, it's you. I'm right here. They had some good crew interactions these episodes. They usually do, but there was something about it that felt even more family-like. And interesting that the bad guys are potentially a group called the Frankie family, but it seems like, family might be kind of a bigger part of this arc, and I just loved the back and forth between Luffy and Nami and Usopp. Nami and Usopp diving into the water to catch the briefcase after Luffy threw it, and then Luffy just stretches and grabs it, and there's like that moment where they're like, God damn it, and they fall into the water. It's so good.
They had a lot of really good moments, but my favorite thing was, I can't remember what the exact bit was, but they were having an obvious, like, fun family moment on their ship, And it zooms over to Robin watching them, and she just has her tiny Robin smile, and it makes me so happy.
Yeah, Robin's not the sort of person who necessarily participates in the big group dynamics or whatever, but she's always watching and she's always like, yeah, this is good. These are the crew that I sail with. The other part of the Luffy, Usopp, Nami stuff that I really liked was at one point, Nami's like, Luffy, I don't trust you with the money. And he said something like, that stings. Like, he literally says, that hurts, Nami. Why wouldn't you trust me? And that's so good. He's such a perfect cinnamon bun.
He's so blissfully unaware of his own idiocy. So Khalifa, we mentioned her joke about everything being sexual harassment.
Yeah.
I thought it was really funny that she didn't comment on Polly's weird trying to control how she and Nami dressed and call that sexual harassment, because that actually was.
Yeah, that was I don't know. He's a weird character.
I like almost everything about him, but the whole like, oh my god, look at what she's wearing. It's like, oh my, no, stop. Why? And I mean, they play it for laughs, but there's some of the worst stuff from One Piece in general of the 900 episodes is the stuff that they try to play off as a joke. That's like, you could pay a little bit more attention to that. I think it'd be okay to have one straight man in the situation being like, this isn't normal.
I thought it was moderately funny. I think it is funnier if you read Polly as like in a relationship with, Lucci, or if you read him as not a straight man, because then it's like he's one of those stereotypical people who's grossed out by women's bodies, and that makes it a little bit funnier.
I think the best way to make it funny to me personally, and obviously Oda is a very talented writer, and in many ways there's no way us mortals could, hold up to him. But it would have been kind of funny if he had, seen Nami and been like, oh, look at the way you're dressed. And then if he saw, say, like, Luffy, he's like, cover your shit. And, like, if he was a prude about everyone, that would be pretty funny. That would be
hilarious. Mm-hmm. You're right.
Also, a quick note about Khalifa when she was, kicking and she got everyone in the crossfire, including her own boss. Holy shit, how many Bellamy's could she take in a fight? My God.
Well, a lot.
Oh, man. And she wouldn't even have to aim. She could just start kicking, and eventually he'd bounce into her blows.
I was about to say she wouldn't. Yeah, he would defeat himself in that case. Okay, here's another really silly note, and we don't have to spend a long time on this. We agree that in real life, hypnotism and art are entertainment, right?
Yeah, so, I think we can probably agree to that.
Yeah, But Django was able to take hypnotism and turn it into a battle prowess. Like, he literally made people physically stronger with his hypnotism. And Miss Golden Week was able to use paints and colors and stuff to more or less mind control people. So now we have this guy, Lucci. The only one who gets two names, that's kind of weird, Rob Lucci. But Rob Lucci has the pigeon, and it's a ventriloquism trick. But we also saw that, like, he was strong enough to, like, hold himself up by one hand, like, without even breaking a sweat. So is it possible that when he enters the battle, he will have some kind of super ventriloquism that only works because this is the One Piece universe?
I think what it is the ventriloquism is what makes him strong. Because he doesn't have to contain his voice within himself. He can throw his voice over to the pigeon, and it leaves more room inside of him for just pure strength.
Your voice is actually just your weakness, so by being able to trade that to the pigeon, whose name is Hattori, I believe. It's just a last name in Japan, so that's great, but I also think it's a play off of the word pigeon. I'm going to Google that while Catherine discusses... What were we talking about?
The pigeon.
Yeah. Catherine, what are your thoughts on the pigeon?
He's cute. I was bummed that they did the ventriloquism reveal so early because I was really hoping that, we could trick Curtis into, like, did this pigeon possess the body of a man? Is this some sort of devil fruit we've never seen before? I mean, I guess every devil fruit is some sort that we've never seen before because only one person can have ancient devil fruit. But, yeah, I wish they'd held off on that reveal a little bit. I like the idea of an emotional support bird.
Yes, because Lucci says, right, that the reason I think it's Paulie who says it, that he can't interact with normal people, so he uses the pigeon as a
Yeah, that's why he does the ventriloquy through the pigeon. And I like that. It makes me wish I was a good ventriloquist so I could carry around my cat and have my cat talk for me.
Oh, that'd be so good. Just really quick, I did look it up, and it's saying that one of the readings of the kanji, I still don't quite fully understand how a different kanji can have multiple pronunciations, but one of them is Hato. And so his name is Hattori, which is only, an extra syllable after the word for pigeon.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So let's move on to the final discussion that we're going to have before we bring this episode to a close. The Frankie family seems to be setting up themselves as the bad guys, right? They've kidnapped Usopp. They attacked Zoro unsuccessfully. They seem to be, lounging around. We've been told stay away from Frankie. He's pretty strong, even though his goons are weak. Frankie, he will mess you up. But then we also have this, the CP9 things. So, Curtis, I know that sometimes you hesitate to put out your thoughts or try to guess where the story is going to go, because One Piece is just crazy and hard to predict. But do you think that is the CP9 thing related to the Frankie family, or do there just happen to be two forces on this island that they're dealing with?
I think there's an underground war going on between the Frankie family and CP9, which stands for Celestial Ponies 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's their whole thing. So they have an ethos that's based off of 9 celestial ponies, whose name I will not name right now, but there are 9 of them, and they have different meanings. And apparently, the Frankie family just doesn't like it, and it's an underground feud. It's like the Capulets and the Romulans, whatever their name is.
No, it was no.
Don't remember what it was.
Hang on,
I like Romulans. We're
I
gonna
think
stick
it's.
with that.
I think it's.
Romulans and the Capulets.
Isn't that a Star Trek thing?
No, Romulans are Montagues.
Thank you. Oh God.
The Klingons and the Montagues.
So I think the Frankie family is definitely setting themselves up to be the antagonist to the Straw Hats as a whole. I don't want to use my foreknowledge here, but the way the episodes seem set up to me, it feels like the stuff going on with Robin is separate.
Yeah, okay. Here's something that, again, it's hard for Catherine and I to say, well, maybe this is where the story's going. We have a pretty strong idea where the story's going. I'm pretty sure that she and I, if we racked our brains, we'd be able to figure out what the CP9 people, or person, or entity, or group, or whatever, we could figure out what it is.
Ponies.
It's ponies, yeah! There's a deep cut for you. No, but here's something interesting, right? We were told that every group that Robin has ever been a part of has been destroyed, and she's the only one to have survived. We were given that little carrot at the end of the stick to kind of make us go, what's going on with Robin? Someone showed up in a mask, which to me, indicates that they are trying to keep their identity hidden, that they're trying to make sure that no one knows they're talking to Robin. They could be one of the last surviving members of a previous group she was a part of called CP9. By saying the name of this secret group, they are saying, we know what you did, and so now she has to go resolve that, and that's why she didn't tell Chopper or Sanji or anyone else where she was going. She's got to deal with this on her own. Mm-hmm. Which
Joel
also
had... Oh, sorry, babe. Go ahead.
Which also brings up the question, how well is Luffy going to respect her wishes or her privacy on that matter? If he's told that Robin has disappeared, what do you think's going to happen?
He's probably going to go find her.
Someone's going to get punched in the face from across the town. Captain, you're going to say something. I'm sorry.
Yes, no worries. One interesting thing that Joel pointed out to me when I was watching these episodes is that in the English dub, which I watch, he just says CP9 as he passes by, or she. It was unclear.
It's a pretty. I'd say that I would be willing to bet money, even if I didn't know what was going to happen next, that was a male voice.
Okay.
It sounded fairly. It sounded
pretty
masculine.
deep.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he said CP9, and that was it. Sure. Robin was all shocked. In the Japanese, I believe he says CP9 des, which, Joel, you said means I am CP9, right?
Yeah, you add des to the end of sentences to say that something is something. Like, if you want to say, I'm hot, I'm pretty sure that you use des at the end of the... And when you're introducing yourself, you say, Joel des. And so it's not... They didn't just say 2 letters and a number. They literally said I or we are, because Japanese verbs don't always make it clear if it's singular or plural. But an entity is CP9, probably the speaker, the person in the mask. So, also, really quick hit. I'm sure anyone who saw this immediately figured it out, but Water 7 is 100% based off of Venice, which is also why they have the masks. I absolutely love that. I have a legitimate from Venice Venetian mask from several years ago. Wow, that was more than 10 years ago. But anyways, I really like the idea of having a city visually representative of Venice. It's really cool.
Here's a question for you, Joel.
Uh-huh.
How far was One Piece when you went to Venice?
I think I liked the masks before we went to Venice. Or before they were in One Piece.
Which came first, Water 7 or Venice?
I'm pretty sure that...
Venice has been around for a couple hundred years, so...
But you can't prove it. Joel wasn't there.
Dad joke. No, no, I legitimately think I was past this part of the anime when we went on that European trip.
Okay, see, then as far as Joel knows, they built Venice based off of Water 7. And they said it was super old, and they've been lying to him this whole time.
Oh no, that's great.
There was never a Venice before. It's just like the moon landing. It's just like the all the people trying to tell you the Earth is round. It's all a farce.
Also, Joel, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Did they base Venice off of One Piece and Water 7 or JoJo's?
You know what? I was going to try to lead into that joke, but you beat me there. So, yeah, I would love to see Mista and the Sex Pistols team up with Usopp. I would love to see Usopp shoot from his little slingshot and then, yeah, as they kick the bullets up into the air or whatever.
Or even just, Usopp!
The Luffy is about to go fight whoever the bad person or group or thing is. And then all of a sudden, Mista comes up and puts his hand on Luffy's shoulder. We can't, Captain. It's lunchtime. And then he pulls out the tablecloth, and they all sit down, they all start eating. If any of you are listening to this and you're not familiar with JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, Part 5 recently just concluded, like a week ago, this last Saturday, and it takes place in Italy. And it very much so, they have a scene that is 100%, it's the city of Venice. Not the whole season takes place in Venice, but this one episode does. And I would love for Luffy and Giorno and all of them to team up and hang around. Sanji would be obnoxious about Trish, though, so protect our bubblegum daughter.
Maybe she would protect herself.
Yeah, here's hoping. And that has been your
Final thought.
Outro goes here. Next episode, we'll be watching episodes 233 through 236. That's 4 episodes in a row. So be sure to join us next time. Bye, everyone. Bye. Rumor is the Mary will no longer be able to set sail on the Grand Line. The Galley Law folks seem to think that it's over. Usopp's precious ship, the vessel that saw them through Reverse Mountain, took them up to the sky and faced so many dangers, may be doomed. Unless, perhaps, I heard a rumor about the power of friendship?
No.
Aww. So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/King of the What Pod. KingOfTheWhatPod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host. Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.